Hello?
Hey, Trent, is that you?
Hello? Hello?
I've been muted.
Make sure we got, there we go. You guys hear me? Just nod your heads. Yes, okay. All right, EB here. We're letting a few more people show up. It looks like everybody's hitting us at once. So sit tight. We'll get right back at you. Okay, you got it.
All right, we're live. Welcome to the 2021 Plus One Flyers General Membership Meeting. Can everyone hear me out there?
Shake your head.
Someone shake their head who's live that I can see. If I
What's
can
up?
see them here.
Cunning said he could.
Just want to make sure before we start out.
Shake your heads if you guys can hear us. Yay.
Okay, cool.
Okay, awesome.
All right, this meeting is going to be set up where the first order of business is going to be, we're going to allow the directors who are vying for a spot on the board of directors to speak. Our secretary, Sarah, will go down the line and ask each one individually. They'll have a short period of time to basically provide their inputs to the club as to why they want to be a director. After that time, after all the director candidates are done speaking, we'll do officer reports. After officer reports, I'll do a quick president's report / club state of the club brief, rather short. Total should be less than 10 minutes. At the time, voting will remain open. So if you haven't voted or you're undecided, you'll need to get onto the Election Buddy link and submit your vote. After voting is closed, Sarah will shut it down. We will provide results at this meeting of the director elections. And then that should cover it, and then we should be done. We have no speakers or guests, obviously, because we're virtual. There will be a general membership meeting when?
August 20, it's Thursday, August 26th. I'll confirm it right now.
So we'll be going back to live general membership meetings then at that point. So,
yeah, August 26th. It's a Thursday.
Yay. No more virtual, no more Zoom, thank goodness. So,
There might have to be a notice going out there might be limited on a head count. I've got confirmed 100 for now. I can probably go as high as 120, which is usually where we are. So we should be okay.
Okay, with that said, you got anything else to say? We'll move it over to Sarah.
Move it to Sarah and let her go.
All right, Sarah, are you online? If you are, we can't hear you.
What's that?
Sarah,
Hang
online?
on, Larry. Yeah, Larry, you've got to. One of us has to unmute anybody. So hang on a second. I'll unmute. Ready? Go.
Hi, I'm here.
Okay, go ahead, Sarah.
Yeah, I was thinking I was thinking we start with the owners. So how about we start with Jim Cunning?
Okay, I'm unmuted. Okay, I'm Jim Cunning. I've been a member of Plus One for about 18 years. And I've been an owner of an airplane 1784 Romeo for almost 11 years, since 2010. And I've been on the board since about 2011 or 12. I enjoy being on the board, and my issues that I feel like I had some ability to contribute to the club is I'm concerned with members having a good experience renting aircraft, or keeping good, well-maintained aircraft in the club, safety, and also I enjoy participating in budget committee, strategic planning, et cetera. And I feel like I've provided a good input to the club. And I would very much appreciate your vote to continue serving on the board. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jim. How about we move on to Rand? Rand Smedley.
Okay, I'm unmuted. Hi, I'm Rand Smedley. I've been a member of the club since 2013. I come from a strong entrepreneurial background, so in 2016, I decided to open an office at Gillespie Field to give instruction. I recently added an airplane to the club just a couple of months ago, decided to put my money where my heart was. Any of the candidates here are going to do a good job for the board. If you haven't already voted or otherwise committed to a candidate, I ask you to consider me. Thank you for the consideration.
Thank you, Rand. Next, why don't we go to Trent Cherry?
Hello. Hi, I'm Trent Cherry. I own 59080 Sierra. And I just like Rand, I think any of the candidates here would do an excellent job on the board, but I would appreciate being on the board. I think I've got some good qualities that can be brought to the board, and I want to make sure that everybody, whether it be members or owners, has a value added to their experience with this club. So I'd appreciate a vote for me. Trent Cherry, thank you.
Thank you, Trent. Next, our last on the list of the owner candidates is Philip Van Essen. Oh, he's not here. Are you sure he's not here? Okay. Okay. Then we'll move on to the non-owners. The first one I have here is Jason Andrews.
Hi, can everyone hear me? Yeah, cool. I was having audio issues. I'll make it quick. My name is Jason Andrews. I'm running for, I guess, to be on the board. Really, the reason being is I'm just there all the time, and I have been able to relay information back to Shane, back to Dave. I work at Montgomery 8 hours a day, 6 days a week. I've been doing it for the last 8 years. And I think I've flown about 10,000 hours with the club in the last 8 years. So, you know, I'm present. And I think it'd be nice to have a board member who's just constantly present. And that's really it.
Thank you, Jason.
You're welcome. Thanks, Sarah.
Next, why don't we go to John Barta?
Hello, everybody hear me?
Yeah.
My name's John. My name's John Barrett. I'm running for a non-owner position as a board of directors, in the board of directors. I've been a member for over 25 years and a board of a director for 12 of those years. Over that time, I've gotten experience and a good understanding of both the needs of both the members and owners. Having had 4 planes in the club, 2 172, the 182, and a Beech 836. I'm a strong advocate for safety and training. I've worked closely with the club safety organization over the years. A couple of my goals are to continue to push for levels of training that are commensurate with the type of aircraft being flown. Obviously, an 836 is different than a Cessna 150, and I think the training syllabus has to be accordingly. I'm also going to tee up with the board of directors to see if there's any interest in a scholarship program. We'll be working on that over the next several months. By electing me, I think I can assure you that your voice will be heard at the board level. If you have any interests or concerns, we can certainly make that available to the board for consideration. My phone number will be it's on the website. So if there's anything that you need to talk to me about, you can certainly call. So anyway, I would encourage and appreciate your vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, John. Next, we're going to go to Alexis Nahama.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes.
You are
perfect.
live.
Thank
There
you.
you
Hi, folks. I'm Alexis Nahama. I'm a biotech executive by trade, father of twins by chance, and abuser of +1 instructors by choice. I have about 800 hours of total time, 500 in single engines. And interestingly, 10 months ago, I was a very, very rusted pilot before I became a member of +1, having not flown for 7 years. And I can say that as earlier this week, thanks to the club, I don't feel rusted. I feel completely beat up because I just passed my multi-engine commercial check ride. So that was a poor judgment to get even started, but it's done. I can no longer afford to fly, so I'm asking for you to vote for me so I can spend all this newfound time doing something useful. But no, seriously, I'm very grateful to the club. I think it's a great experience. I think we have a fantastic ecosystem. I do bring over 12 years of nonprofit experience, and I've been on multiple boards, 2 boards currently, one in education and one in healthcare, that have budgets ranging from $1 million to over $10 million of annual budgets a year. So the broad spectrum. And I've spent a lot of time on committees and strategic planning and ensuring that organizations are healthy and thrive. And so I think that this is a different perspective from other board members that have a lot of experience with this current club. And then maybe I can bring some different perspectives to enrich the current group of directors. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alexis. I had Craig next, but it doesn't look like he's online. So we'll go to Shane.
All right. I'm not going to turn my video on just because I'm uglier than Jason is, and I have pretty limited bandwidth where I'm at. I'm grateful to be here. I'll try to make this pretty quick as well. I've been a member of +1 since 2009. It's a great organization. It's gotten better and bigger since I joined the club. The club started out with just a handful of aircraft, and we're at nearly 100 airplanes, 2,100 members, and 4 airports now. We grow at about 9% a year. We have some challenges that come with that growth. We've seen insurance hikes across the country, rising costs for fuel, tie downs, and more, just some of our challenges. We have an exceptional group of directors. I have no doubt that we will continue to be able to address the challenges as they arise. As a member of the club, I'm continually looking for ways to keep our membership informed about things that matter: new aircraft, operations changes, safety reports, incidents, accidents, and more. We've been able to achieve some of this with technology, some with the new website, and I look forward to launching a new member dashboard before the end of this meeting. As a pilot, I've been flying since 1993. I'm an ATP rated pilot instructor, former airline captain, recovering aircraft owner. 3 aircraft in the club. 1 was destroyed, 1 was sold. Actually, 2 were sold. And I was one of the main forces of getting the Lake Amphibian approved for solo flight. which gives Plus One the unique distinction of being the only club in the nation that you can rent a lake amphibian solo. As your director, I will continue to look for ways to provide a better experience for all members, owners, and instructors, and I appreciate your vote.
Okay, sorry about that. I muted myself. Thank you, Shane. And last but not least, JVD.
There we go. I was muted. We're good now. Came into the club in 2001 when I brought Brownfield, was the school I was working at, lost their insurance. Brought them on as a Brownfield operation for Plus One. And then from there, 9/11 hit and they went away and I came up and I started flying out of Montgomery. And then from there, I grew into the club and took over Montgomery operations, decided to join the board. I think I joined the board in 2003. I've been there ever since. And I've had a great time with the growth of the club and guiding the club in the direction it's been heading. My last term, 2020 and 2019, 2020 have been probably one of the most interesting and the strangest times I've had, where we had the COVID pandemic and all the members were figuring we were done, to finding it was one of the biggest growth periods we've ever had in the history of the club. Kale still can't explain why, but I'm not going to complain. It's been great to grow the club, bring in more employees, started expanding services in the club, and being an active participant with that growth. A lot of you know that we're working with Crown Air now on the new changeover from Gibbs, which has been a challenge in itself. But ready for the challenge, ready to be involved with the board to continue the process of growing the club and making it what it is. 4 airports, we're going to hit. I figured if things keep going in this direction, we'll probably hit 100 airplanes by September, October. And it's a great place to be. My family's grown up in this club, and I appreciate your vote. Thanks, sir.
Thank you, Dave. We'll give everybody about 10 minutes. If you haven't voted yet, you can go and click the link in your email to go and place your vote. And then a bit later in the meeting, we'll announce the results.
All right, Sarah, does that conclude everybody on the list?
That concludes everyone on the list, yes.
Okay, so as Sarah said, if you haven't voted, you can get onto the link, the voting link, and either vote again or change your vote, vote for the first time. Obviously, you can only cast one ballot. We're going to move on to a brief summary of the officer reports, and then I'll finish up with just a quick 5 or 6 slide status of the club for 2021. At the conclusion of that, we should have we'll suspend the elections, and then Sarah can provide the results, and that should wrap everything up. And like I said, a more formal membership meeting will be held at the end of August. We had to hold this meeting virtually, simply because you had to meet for the state requirements as a corporation. So that's the purpose why we had to go virtual. We would have liked to delay it and done it live, but unfortunately we could not. So with that, I'm going to start with the VP. I'll do after that a secretary report. Sarah can fill the membership in on anything from her end. Shane can then brief any recent safety items, and then I'll do the president's report and a quick presentation. So, all right, Dave, the floor is yours.
Okay. Real quick, I'm trying to do a download on my phone. Again, like I said, when in my statement, we are doing record hours. We're bringing in more 172s. You can see that there's been an expansion of the club presence at Gillespie Field. That's part by design. It's also part by just because of the changes going on at Crown Air with the Gibbs ramp and the fuel prices. Happy to say that our new members are coming in. We're averaging right now around 70 to 80 new members a month. We're well past the 2,100 mark. So there's another glass ceiling we've smashed through as a club. I can't stress enough the importance and what Talisha and Erica do to make sure that this keeps growing. So if you guys ever get a chance to send them a nice email, please do, because they really do bust their backsides to keep things rolling. Our members, our flight hours coming in for last month ended at 3331. That's a 12% increase of hours from last year at this time at 2,600. So, and this is now managing the COVID crisis at the time. So we have been doing record numbers and record membership counts. Again, I'm not going to argue it. It's hard to explain why. We are adding, let me see, I'm going back to my schedule master page. We've added 2 172s, a couple of Archer out at Gillespie, an Archer out at Montgomery, 2 172s at Montgomery. I've had a lot of interest of people putting planes out at Palomar. Unfortunately, I just don't have any room. And Palomar is it's just one of those things, unfortunately. But there's a lot of growth going on at Gillespie Field. And like I said, if you want to fly a twin now, unfortunately, you'll have to make the drive to Gillespie Field. But by putting them out there, the price the hourly went from 280 down to 260. So, you know, you could be at Gillespie Field for 260 or come back to Montgomery for 300. So Fred chose to move them out there. We got a couple more SPs that'll be coming online, probably at Gillespie Field within the next 2 to 3 weeks. I've got another 172 that just came back online today with the new owner that used to belong to Fred, but another owner bought it. He's going to be upgrading it. And I've got some other aircraft in the works that I don't want to talk about, so I don't want to jinx it. But if you guys could look at Schedule Master, you'll see that the fleet size is healthy, the flight hours are healthy, the membership is healthy. So it's things are good in the club right now. They really are good. It's a good time to be in the club. Yeah, I'm real happy with the change we've got with the website. I'm real happy with their website. It's a lot more centralized, a lot more proactive, and a lot easier for the membership to use than the previous one. And so a lot of focus has been on that. Hopefully you guys will learn it and get comfortable with it, and it'll make things a lot easier for everybody involved with issues. So other than that, that's all I've got going right now. And then, like I said earlier, I'll just repeat it again. The fourth Thursday, it's going to be August 26th. Mark your calendars. We'll send out an invite. We'll be meeting again back at the Courtyard by Marriott. They haven't said anything about restrictions. They haven't said anything about, you know, being vaxxed or non-vaxxed. I've got it limited at 100 right now. You may see me send out a brief email saying, you know, let me know if you're intending on coming, because I may have to either adjust it or see if I can add more. This is the first big one we've had. They're just now getting their feet wet at Courtyard for these meetings. So you may be patient. I may not be able to get everybody in. But the old saying, if you get it to me earlier, at least I have an idea, and maybe I can expand how many people can show up. So more on that as time goes. So that's all I got.
Okay. All right, thanks, Dave. All right, Sarah, the floor is yours. Do you have anything to announce regarding the secretary? Go ahead.
Okay, I don't have much. I'm working on a new format for the newsletters it'll work with the new website and go out through the new website. Aside from that, you know, we've been doing meetings as normal. Well, not normal, but as scheduled. I look forward to doing them in person again. And that's pretty much it. I just want to say thank you to all the candidates. And I think that's it. Thanks, Larry.
Thank you, Sarah. Shane, you're up.
Okay. I wish I could say that I don't have a lot to report. There's been a couple incidents lately. One of the primary drivers that I have is to try to promote more transparency of the incidents and accidents that we have that are on the website now. The safety page includes all of the accident reports and the information minus the personally identifiable information that is related to that accident, so people can take a look and gather whatever data they want to and make any determinations that they would like to. But what I can tell you is that we still trend from an accident standpoint. If you look at the statistics, we're about 0.5 to 1% lower than the accident rate overall in GA, and we're about half of the fatal accident rate which is a pretty grim statistic, but we're about half the overall GA accident rate. So that's always good on a club of this size, especially. Some of the new procedures that we have just for fielding some of this data will help with just in general, everybody being able to see what we deal with, which includes the safety reports, the anonymous safety reports that we get through the website, through text messages, phone calls, all that stuff. Tons of stuff, especially in the last year with COVID, related to noise abatement. And when I say tons, I'm talking probably hundreds of reports from residents, a lot of it being the same residents, and from communities that are looking to file lawsuits against anybody that flies over their house. So a lot of that I'm trying to get put onto the website and provide ways that people can see what we're seeing so they can make better decisions. Aside from that, that is all I have for the time being.
All right, thank you, Shane. All right, Sarah, can you give me a quick, how long have we had voting open? Has it been 10 minutes? Sarah, are you there? Shane, did we lose Sarah? Maybe we did. Oh, we unmuted. No.
Sorry, Larry, I'm having, my muting problems obviously aren't just during the board meetings. Anyway, I was going to give them just a couple more minutes, so I'm close.
Okay, well, I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna start with the president's report and the presentation. Sure. So as soon as you're ready to cut off the voting, just go ahead and do it. And at the conclusion of the presentation, I'll hand it back to you, and you can provide a summary of the results.
Sure, sounds good.
And then at the end, after that's all done, I will make our best attempt. If anyone has any questions, I know that people that are on the YouTube feed, there's a 30-second delay. So I'll probably need Shane or someone who's on that feed to relay any questions to us. We have chat up for if you're on Zoom. You can send some questions on chat. Again, it's this is not the most efficient way of doing it, but it's the best we can right now. So just bear with us. All right. So I'll start. Basically, the president's report mimics a lot of what Dave has gone through or gone over in his report. I'll add the financial aspect of the club to what Dave said regarding record membership. We have record flight hours. Historically, COVID really didn't affect the club as much as we initially thought it would when it first presented itself. We had basically a 1 month to maybe 6 weeks of a reduction in flight hours, and after that, it was off to the races. Basically, like Dave said, we're averaging well over 3,000 hours a month now. It's making some of the owners, I think, a little happier. I don't know if they're all happy. Most of them are just less poor, I guess is probably a better way of saying it. They're not rich, they're just less poor now with the increase of utilization of the fleet. Regarding the president, I've been president of Plus One, and honestly, I don't have it in front of me. It's either 8 of the last 9 years, or 7 of the last 8 years, or 9 of the last 10 years. I'm not sure. This will be my last year as president in the July board meeting, at which time the new directors or current directors will take their seats. They will be appointing a new president. I just want to take this time out prior to getting into our brief to thank current officers, prior officers, current directors, and previous directors for all the support they provided me. The members, I've gotten a tremendous number of emails thanking us, the officers, on the job we're doing. We've also gotten a fair amount of criticism, which we've tried to explain why things may not be the way they think it should be. I've done my best to lead the club to the best of my abilities, and it was a labor of love, and I really appreciated the time I had a chance to do it. And I still plan to be very involved in the club, just not in an officer position or a director position, at least in the near term, which may give me some more time to fly, actually, which is always a good thing. All right, with that said, I'm going to try and I'm making an attempt here to share the screen and provide the brief that I want to go over. So Shane, can you text Dave and make sure everyone's that you're seeing it at least, so we can verify that before I get started. Okay, so that's going to be screen number. All right.
What are we doing?
I'm sharing the screen. Can you just verify?
Yeah. Oh. He's verifying it.
I want to make sure Shane or someone can see it.
Yeah, so you guys see it. See if they shake.
Can anyone see that presentation? Give me a thumbs up. All right, good. All right, so it's only a couple slides, a couple pages. I just want to give a summary to the members. You know, a lot of things here people don't realize. Some of the stuff that goes behind the scenes of the club. All right. First order of business is the 2021-22 budget was approved by the board on the 17th of May. We had a special board meeting to go through that. The big things in the budget compared to previous year is the IDP allocation. We can probably spend the next 2 hours talking about IDP, but the allocation was increased to $140,000 a year. The plan for the way the club's going to operate IDP is treat that as a pool accounting. In the past, every year we try to take our best guess at what were we going to spend on IDP this year, take a swag at it. If we had a good year, all right, that flowed down to the bottom line. If we had a bad year, it flowed down to the bottom line in a negative aspect. The new proposal is to set approximately $140,000 a year for IDP. If, for instance, this budget year between July 1st of 2021 and June 30th of 2022, we spend only $100,000 on IDP, that leaves $40,000 to carry over to the next year. Similar to your cell phone, you're saving your minutes that you can reuse. So we would only budget in the actual budget for next year. We would only budget, whatever I said, $100,000, and use the $40,000 we had left over to carry forward. So the idea is to keep a running balance in the IDP kitty, so to speak, of about $140,000 a year. Like I said, IDP has become a very, I don't want to say controversial issue, but it's we're trying to clean up that process. It's become a little less subjective to regarding what it actually is used for. We're trying to make it increase the benefit to the members. The IDP is funded with membership dues, so it's really the members' money. And in the past, we've kind of re-examined the whole IDP program, and it looked like it was kind of more slanted toward owner repairs and owner damage, and less toward benefits to the members when they get stranded or something to that effect. So we've kind of changed a lot of the proposal is going to be to change a lot of those rules and guidelines. The other thing is the salary pool was increased. We've added potentially the new hire of 2 new part-time assistants to kind of help with new member briefs, new member processing, flight review, posting, all the behind the scenes, how would you say, busy work that has to get done to keep everyone current in Schedule Master and flying and in the club. So that was another significant change in the budget. And just the monthly dues are set at $35 for this fiscal year. So, and like I said, the fiscal year started, is today the 1st? So it actually started today. The current operating budget for Plus One is about $948,000. In reality, the club actually is planning on probably pumping over $6.2 million of money through the club's bank account in this fiscal year. Do the math, 5.3 million pretty much flows directly back to the owners, because that's what we're paying. Most of the money is being filtered through, paid to the owners for their rental rates to keep their planes flying. The remainder of the $948,000 is funds everything else in the club: salaries, rent, aircraft washing, insurance, everything else that's not flight related, basically. So we're operating basically a $6 million corporation on essentially 7 employees plus all your rent and insurance. The one thing that's very interesting is that we've been fairly successful at maintaining the cost controls as rent has gone up, insurance has gone up, basically everything's gone up. But we've been able to keep the dues within a fairly narrow window for over the last 10 years. And that's pretty much been attributed to growth in members. So the member growth has continued to offset any increases in, the rent that, Montgomery has probably gone up 30%, let's say, in the last few years. That's been offset. So obviously member dues have not gone up by that same amount of money. And that's primarily based on member growth. We based our budget on 2,000 members, which we believe is a conservative estimate. The board always, I believe it's best to be conservative in any money-related activities, because the converse is if you go too aggressive and you don't meet your goals, then you have problems on the back end. And our cash reserves right now are north of $400,000. It fluctuates month to month, but essentially that's just that includes the cash. The actual cash you take a snapshot is higher than that, but there's always accounts receivable. We typically pay the owner. I think the owner's billing is roughly about north of $300,000 every month. Oh, so yeah, so that kind of keeps us with a buffer regarding if there's any problem with the credit card processing or something to that effect, we can still pay our bills. And that was set in place many years ago. We set a limit of about $250,000, and we've gradually increased that as the club has got bigger. We've kind of increased that linearly with the growth in membership. All right, club statistics. The membership is 1975. It varies. That's dues paying members. The actual number of members is north of 2,000. For those that are not wondering what the difference is, the difference between actual members and dues paying members are owners have their membership dues waived, directors, officers, you add them all up, and that's where you get the difference. All right, aircraft is actually north of 90 now. Is it 80?
That's like 86.
So 80, I got 80 plus, so it's Dave tells me it's 86. We currently have 4 locations, which is Gillespie. We haven't changed, and we've had many requests to expand, but right now we're standing pat with the Montgomery, Gillespie, Ramona, and Carlsbad. Carlsbad would probably grow to be much larger than it is. However, it's just so non-GA friendly with regarding to tie downs and space. There's no room to expand up there, unfortunately. If Carlsbad was more of a GA airport and less corporate, we'd probably be double the size of Carlsbad right now, because there's quite a lot of pilots, quite a lot of members that live in North County that would probably fly out of there more often if we had more aircraft and more tie downs, so to speak. The current staff is 4 officers and 3 employees. The employee count is most likely going to increase. The board has approved that budget, which provides a budget for those part-time staffers that we'd add. So it'll be up to the officers to decide when that'll be required in this fiscal year to pull the trigger on that. And also, again, for people that are not sure, the board of directors consists of 15 members. There's 10 owners and 5 non-owners. So, all right, our average flight cost over the last over the fiscal year 2020-21 was about $220. So obviously, burger flippers. Well, actually nowadays they're probably making quite a bit of money. They're the ones that are not flying our planes. So $220 is the average every time a flight takes off Montgomery or Ramona or Gillespie. It's pretty much average about north of $200. Average flight rate's $150. Average flight duration varies between 1.4 and 1.7 hours typically. The interesting thing is 70% of all the flight hours are out of Montgomery. And for those that fly out of Montgomery, you understand why. It's just the majority of the fleet is located there. And it's also centrally located with the majority of our population there of flyers. Although Gillespie is actually starting to pick up quite a bit as far as that percentage. So at one point, Montgomery is almost 80%. It's actually gone down over the last couple of years. So again, I mentioned this before, dues are $35 for this fiscal year. Since 2010, I did some historical background, and the dues have varied basically between $28 and $35 over the last 10 years. So adjusting for inflation, if I compared what we charged in 2010, the current fiscal year dues are 22% less using a 1.5% inflation rate, which that's what the CPI says, the government says, which I don't believe, but I have to go with what was published. And as I mentioned before, the board is very conscious in keeping monthly dues reasonable. We've tried to maintain the basic dollar a day mantra, so to speak, to try and keep our dues in that range. And as we grow, we think we can maintain that going forward. We've done it for the last 10 years. We think we can probably do it for the next 10. So next slide shows the trends. If you notice in 2018, 2019, that's where we really kind of took off regarding, and that's not dues paying membership, that's actually flight hours. So I forgot to change the title on that. But flight hours in 2020 to 2021, which just ended, is pushing 38,000, which is, if you look at it, it's almost double the flight hours we had 2 years ago. So most of that is prompted. There is a Scott Koralski, a past president, did some analysis, and the number of aircraft available in the fleet, in the Plus One Flyers fleet, is directly related to the number of hours and the number of members we have. So what happens is if you constrict the number of aircraft available, what happens, members can't get planes. They say, why am I paying dues? They quit. So your member count drops. They're obviously not flying. Your flight hours drop. So the number of planes is almost the single most important driver in both membership and hours. And we've accelerated in the number of planes available. Dave's done a pretty good job of recruiting owners to lease back their planes. They had some variety to the club. You know, a couple of years ago, we had, I think we were at 50 plus planes. Now we're north of 80.
87.
So 87, Dave says. So that's primarily one of the main drivers for this, the number of hours, which is not dues paying members. So, and I don't have actually the second slide there, the annual flight hours, I'm going to bypass. Because I don't have the actual, I had the rate posted, but I don't have that. Current committees for the board of directors. These are the active committees right now. Reinstatement committee is an ongoing committee led by Shane Terpstra. Strategic planning was primarily when we were going through the uncertainty about Montgomery regarding Gibbs leasehold. The Gibbs leasehold. So Tom Reed was leading that up, assisted by Dave Gordon. Most of the people have that fly to Montgomery know how that resulted. Pardon me. You need a mouse pad.
Yeah, I'll take that too. Start to chat.
IDP, the committee right now, we're, again, as I mentioned before, we're redoing, kind of looking at revamping that, and that's led by Dave Eby. And historically, the budget is led by the president, and that's been me. Next year, it'll be somebody else. So, all right, I need to steal your mouse.
You know,
All right, stay by.
that's fine.
Dave took my mouse, and now I can't find. I got 4 screens here. I can't figure out where it went. There it is.
Right there.
All right. What are our challenges?
It's fine. I'll fix when I get on it.
Rogue members, which we view as a very small minority of the membership. When we catch them doing something that's not in accordance with the bylaws or our operational rules, obviously the first response we get is they didn't know the rules. So we've kind of made it a very, we've tried to be very pointed in the new member briefs to have them read the operation rules, to make sure they look at them frequently, because typically they change, especially with the issues regarding aircraft and checkouts and what you need to do to fly certain aircraft. You know, we try our best, but one of the problems we have with a club this size and limited staff that's running on a $900,000 budget is we cannot police the entire membership. We have 2,000 members out there. It's very difficult to, without hiring one person at every airfield to sit there and just walk down and basically patrol and watch everything. We have to rely on member reports. And a lot of issues we find with members are reported by other members, which is, we thank you for that, because we just can't do it. We're just not there 24/7. So a few things, a few of the big violations that, which we view as very important to the club well-being is the commercial operations, the holding out. You know, we have some people putting out Groupon offers saying, hey, we're going to give you free rides. It basically circumvents our insurance, which we are very, very concerned about. So we typically don't have much sympathy when we catch someone doing that. But that's one of the primary things we're finding lately. Again, we had some of the air taxi services in the past. All right, Dave, you keep stealing my mouse here. I'm having problems. That I forget what the last one was called. They got shut down by the FAA. We had some members actually, Blackbird flying in that. You know, these are all the type of things. And when you finally, it's like putting your finger in a dike. You put one, you stop one leak, and another one pops out somewhere else. So the lucky we haven't run out of fingers or toes yet. So we've been pretty good at keeping things at bay in some respects. So, as I mentioned, IDP, the IDP initial program description and the application of the program has been very subjective in the past. If anyone has had the luxury of sitting on some of our board meetings, we've spent a lot of time going over large IDP claims. It's a very painful process. We're trying to streamline that a little better. There's some new IDP guidelines we've been working on that we're going to roll out for the next fiscal year. Obviously, they're more defined, less subjective. We're trying to define what really constitutes wear and tear versus actual damage caused by a member. You know, when some of these planes are flying over 100 hours a month, things are going to break. Trying to make the owners aware of that. You know, it's like if you have a nice car and you want to give it to Hertz and say, hey, can you rent this for me? You're kind of taking a chance in respect to some of those car renters are not going to treat that car like it's their own. We try to instill in the membership to try and do that with the planes they fly. A majority of them do, a minority of them don't. So, and that's one of the things with the IDP is the usage has been increasing, the number of claims that Dave's been getting, and it's obviously more people are flying, more hours being flown, more damage is occurring. It's a linear function as far as we're concerned. And we do have the issue of, you know, a small number of members just don't treat the planes very well. And again, I stress that this seems to be a very small minority, but of course that very small minority of members can still cause quite a bit of damage. It's usually broken locks, avionics switches broken. A big issue we have is people get in a plane, they just leave all their garbage in the plane. It's not really damage, but it's very, you know, for the next pilot coming in, they come into a plane you want to rent, you expect a clean plane. The club is supposed to provide you with a plane that's clean and worthy of flight. And what happens is you walk in, there's tons of garbage shoved in the back pocket, used batteries, coffee cups. It's, you know, that's something that we just need the members to kind of self-police and report when they experience that. And we try our best to get that rectified. Continuing with the challenges, the new lesser at Montgomery is Crown Air. As anyone that's on Facebook has seen a lot of the complaints regarding that. They were successful in their bid to take over the old Gibbs leasehold. One of the issues that the club is having right now and some of the discussions at the board level is the fact that until they change, you know, tear that building down, we're still occupying it. We're still paying rent in it. And however, the new tenant Crown Air is not occupying it, so there's no physical presence there. So we're evaluating the need. Do we still need to? Why are we paying rent for rooms that are not exclusively ours anymore? Because the doors are not closed; they're leaving the doors open. Anyone can walk in, anyone can walk out. We got, you know, the real issues are we getting our money's worth for that now that there's no one physically manning that office. And Crown Air is basically stating that that property is going to, you know, the doors are open, so anyone that uses it, just like an FBO, can use the conference rooms, et cetera. Well, then why don't we do the same thing? Just treat ourselves like a general user and save the rent. So that's something that we're looking at. One other issue is, as you saw from all the graphs, the size of Plus One flyers. You know, this year was a real challenge with the membership. Maintaining the membership, all the paperwork involved, the new member briefings. It's a challenge, and that's why we're looking at more staff to try and keep the level of customer service at least where it's at now, or definitely try and improve it. We don't want to go backwards. We've had some issues, You know, there's only so many hours in a day. When you have two people, Talisha's running at, 120% typically. It's not a good situation to be in. So we're looking at that. And obviously another option that the board will have to look at is maybe some people have mentioned it at the board level. Do we eventually look and, limit membership, and you don't allow new members in until other members leave? That's just another thing that the club was, we're not seriously looking at it right now, but it's been mentioned time and time. Flying costs, lack of insurability, which has been a big issue over the last couple of years because we had quite a few incidents, accidents, claims, whatever you want to call them. We believe that's waning now. I think the industry is still watching us. We're one of the largest club. We are the largest club in the United States. But I think that's not as big an issue now as it was in the past. We've done a fairly good job managing our insurance claims through IDP. However, insurance rates are still going up. I'm of the belief that if we have no accidents next year, our rates will still probably go up a few clicks. And I think that's just the industry in general is trying to recover losses they've had from other events not related to us. So we'll see what that happens. Our insurance year goes to January 31st. We renew on February 1st. So we'll see how that works out. Fuel prices are increasing, which you'll see a lot of aircraft have raised their rental rates to cover the insurance costs. Fuel prices, Crown Air has also increased the fuel price, which I think is above and beyond what the market forces have dictated, but that's, they're in business to make money too. I don't necessarily agree with the magnitude of their increase, but they're the only game in town, so to speak, for us, without the inconvenience of taxiing out to the fuel pumps or getting fuel to another airport when you're flying. So, and maintenance challenges. Some of the owners are having issues because the maintenance shops are they're running at full tilt. It delaying repairs. Sometimes the plane's not being turned around as quickly as possible. I've heard that from some owners, and it's just the post-COVID world. They're trying to find people, mechanics are in short supply. It's just and obviously we have more planes in our fleet, so they're flying more, which means more maintenance needed. You have some of the planes that are requiring 100-hour inspections every 3 weeks, which is pretty impressive in some respects. So one question I've got last week, and I've had this in the past, is why doesn't Plus One expand to other airports? Well, here's kind of a summary of why. They mentioned Oceanside, which has its problems, noise being one of them, space being another. Temecula, great place to start up a club. Not a huge pilot population, but guess what? It's an hour away at more than highway speeds. So it makes it difficult to manage. Same thing with SNA. So they'd have to be more autonomous. Do we really want to? Is our culture really? Is our charter to expand to become nationwide? The answer is no. And unless that changes, we just don't see us pursuing that. I think the only possible alternative to maybe expanding would be Brown, just because the area down there has begun much more populated. So you have a large pilot population, and it's fairly close to. It's easy to manage. But some of these other sites that we see that we've had mentioned just don't make sense. Honestly, it's hard enough to manage Carlsbad and deal with the traffic getting up there. Sometimes it's easier just getting a plane and fly up there instead of sitting on the 5. So you would obviously need someone to champion any of those remote sites to become basically the lead cog to keep them running. So that's one of the reasons why we've never really pursued it or never been serious about it. So that's all I have regarding the state of the club. I think Dave has been trying to answer some of the questions. So if you have any, I'll stay online here. If you can go and chat, Shane or Dave, you can forward them to me. If you have any questions, we'll do it for a few minutes. Meanwhile, while we're doing that, Sarah, do you want to provide a summary of the results of the election? Where's Sarah? Lost Sarah again?
Okay, Shane unmuted me and so you still couldn't hear me. I'm just saying. Yep, I have the results. For the owners, the new directors will be Jim Cunning, Rand Smedley, and Philip Van Essen. For the non-owners, the new directors will be Jason Andrews, Craig Fuller, Dave Eby, and Shane Terpstra.
Okay, to those new directors and current directors, congratulations. The next board meeting will be July 15th, I believe. Dave?
The next board meeting will be Thursday, July
Yeah,
15th.
third Thursday, and it'll be another virtual meeting. So to those new directors, we'll provide the materials and information to them. So, and you see any new questions coming up before we cease and end the meeting? So, all right, Shane, do you see any questions on the YouTube feed?
Nope, nothing on YouTube, nothing on the site.
You got nothing down here other than your favorite scotch.
No, I'm not going to answer that question. So,
Cuddy, sir.
doers.
Doers.
That stuff's like drinking turpentine. So, all right. With that said, I'm going to end the meeting. So I want to thank, I don't know how many people we had on.
Say again?
Was that Shane? Let me stop the share here. All right. With that said, I'm gonna end the meeting. I thank all the participants, the directors for making their statements, the members for joining in both on YouTube, on the feed, and Zoom. So I appreciate your participation. Sarah, can you provide one other data item? How many votes did we receive? How many people voted?
Sorry, it takes a second to be unmuted. A total of 308 votes.
Same.
Okay, so it's about 15%. So that's pretty much, I think that's about might be 1%
average.
higher than last year. So,
Yeah.
so we're getting there. All righty, thank you very much. Again, if you have any questions regarding what was brought up at this meeting, all our emails are on the website. So feel free to email us and we'll try and best to answer your questions.